So I have this problem. I know some stuff that I think people might actually want to hear, but I am terrible at getting it out there. My example, I used to fly internationally a lot, and I picked up all these insider travel hacks. But travel moves at light speed, so by the time I finished editing my TikToks, half my hot tips were already useless. I kept thinking there had to be a way to spend less time drowning in these edits and more time making content people can actually use. And the obvious answer is automation. I mean, come on, how hard could that be? Stop laughing. My first attempt was Adobe After Effects scripting, and I dove in head first, only to find myself spending entire days wrestling with templates like it was an Olympic sport. Then, even when I finally got it working, I'd still have to manually piece together voiceovers, snippet by snippet. And after all that, how much time did I actually save? None whatsoever. Remember those old television commercials? There's got to be a better way.
Why is it impossible to get out the last drop of toothpaste? There's got to be a better way.
After way too many failed experiments, and probably too much coffee, I finally found a better way. Now I can automate all of that boring stuff with a single button press. Totally renewed my passion for this game. Hi, I'm Tim, and I'm going to show you how to automate the boring stuff in about an hour with just 3 steps. For step 1, we're going to be using a service called JSON to Video. It's not the cheapest, but it strikes a good balance for features and cost. It's free to start. You get 10 free minutes of video for learning and testing. After that, the cost is as low as 16 cents per minute of rendered video. For step 2, we're going to build our automation workflow using n8n. That's one of the better automation platforms. It's powerful, but accessible to beginners as well. It offers a 14-day free trial, which should be plenty to complete this tutorial. After that, it's $24 per month US for the cloud option and free if you self-host it. Step 3, profit. Sorry, had to. And the final step is to use your newfound skills to customize this automation to fit your specific requirements. This setup looks deceptively simple, which is exactly why it works. It's 2 services, both free to start, barely any coding, and you can get it set up in about an hour. Want to skip ahead? I've got 0 code automations all ready to go for you inside my community. Link in the description. Look, I'm not trying to sell you some set it and forget it pipe dream, but this will give you back serious chunks of your life by getting you 70% of the way to hands-off content creation. The skills you pick up today will unlock that final 30% when you're ready to go full auto.
I'm not full auto. It's not full auto.
That's not full auto?
This is. That's full auto.
Damn, bro. Okay.
Why this matters. You're building a foundation that can become anything. If you're a Facebook marketer, auto-generate UGC variations. E-commerce, custom videos for every single product in your catalog. Run a news channel, instant AI avatar reports. Me, I can finally get my travel alerts out there while they're still relevant. Quick confession. I'm trying to practice what I preach, so the following tutorial was made using... Any guesses? As this is kind of new for me, using automation for long-form stuff is still a bit rough around the edges. So, apologies for the still cheesy AI voice clone. I mean, we're getting closer, but come on, not fooling anybody yet. Anyway, the voice clone just coincidentally happens to also be named Tim. Confusing, I know, but he's trying his best. Using automation means I can update these tutorials lightning fast when things change, all in service of actually getting it out there. All right, ready to build your own content freedom machine? Let's go.
To render our videos in this tutorial, we will be using JSON to Video, which is free to start. While it is a paid service after that, it allows you to get started with YouTube automation very quickly. To use it, you will need an API key. So click on Get Your API Key. The API key will be needed to log into the website and also to enable automation. They will send it by email, so enter an email address and click the Send It to Me button. Once you get the API key, copy it and keep it somewhere safe. Treat it like you would a password, since anyone with this API key can use it to render videos on your account. Paste it here and click the Confirm button. Once confirmed, you will be directed to the sign-in page. From this point forward, this is how you will log into JSON to Video. Paste the API key here and click the Sign-in button. That will drop you on a JSON to Video dashboard. Here, you will find some additional tutorials that might be useful after you finish this one. Once you log in, you will be taken to the JSON to Video dashboard. You get some free credits upon sign-up. They are more than enough to complete this tutorial and leave enough left over to test your own ideas. Click on Credits to confirm you got them. In fact, I use my own free credits to make this tutorial and do some additional testing. To start, you should get 600 credits. That's enough for 10 minutes of rendered video. But be aware that videos rendered with free credits have a watermark. Templates make automation easier, and automation is what allows you to scale. With this in mind, I will now walk you through creating your first template that can be used to automate the creation of YouTube Shorts. Let's get into it by clicking on Templates on the left menu. Then click the Add New Template button on the right. That creates a new blank template with the most unimaginative name in the world. To change it to something a little more original, just click on the name to bring up the name editor. Maybe we can name it something like My First Viral Template. Make sure to save it. Now, this is still just a blank template. We'll need to modify it quite a bit to make it truly useful. To pull up the editor interface, click on Edit Template Layout from the drop-down menu. That brings up the preview page. Notice the template has a single scene with nothing in it. And the movie preview pane is just black. Because that is what a movie with nothing in it looks like, I guess. The template is actually just JSON, a data interchange format that uses readable text. To see the actual text for the template, click on JSON in the menu bar at the top. Reading the template, at the top you see the details of the movie. In the middle, we can see it has one whole scene with no scene elements. At the bottom, we see it also has no movie elements, kind of why the movie preview was just black. Understand that this is just a view page. We can't actually edit the text from here. To edit, we have to click the Template menu at the very top of the screen. That drops down a menu of things we can do with the template. We'll revisit most of these in future tutorials. For now, select the last option in the list, labeled Edit Templates JSON. That pops up the editor window, where we can actually make changes to the JSON text. You can always use an external editor if you want, but we'll use the built-in editor for this tutorial. The whole idea of JSON is to use a simple text-based structure, making it easy to read and understand by us mere humans. Come on, can you even read this ID? Me either. So, in the true spirit of JSON, let's make a simple change to the ID so that it is human readable. Maybe something whimsical like template_001? And maybe we'll change the comment to something a little more optimistic. How about we do something like My First Movie Template? To save the changes we just made, click on the Update JSON button. By now, I've lost count of how many times I lost work because I got lazy with the Save button. That takes us back to the JSON view page where we can confirm that the changes were indeed saved. This JSON view page serves as an instant double check to keep you honest with the Save button. Now the scene is still empty, so we have more work to do. Let's make some additional edits. Same as before, select Edit Templates JSON from the dropdown. We are going to add some more details to the movie so JSON2 video knows what we are trying to do. This blank template is for a horizontal HD video, more suitable for long form. In this tutorial, we are making a template for short-form vertical videos. So, select these movie details and delete them. Then, type in the new text as follows. Make sure you get the commas in there. This template will be for YouTube Shorts, so we set the resolution to custom with a width of 1080 and a height of 1920. This is the standard vertical format for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, etc. Set the FPS to 25, which is pretty standard. Setting cache to true can speed up rendering of videos. We want the best quality to upload to YouTube, so quality is set to high and draft is set to false. Make sure to click Update JSON to save the changes. Remember to glance at the JSON view to confirm that the changes were actually saved. Now JSON2 video knows what kind of video we want to make, HD vertical format. But there is still no actual content. Let's fix that. The actual content that makes up a video is referred to as an element. For our simple YouTube Shorts template, each scene can have a combination of 3 elements: a voiceover, an image, a video. Of course, there is more that might go into a short. But for this tutorial, we are going to keep it basic. To add an element, click on Add a New Element. The first element we will add is a voiceover. This will be using an AI voice, so select Voice. It turns blue to verify selection. Then click the Add button. Even if we don't have a video clip, we can always have a voice talking over a picture. To enable this option, let's add a static picture to the scene. Same deal, click Add a New Element. Similar to before, select Image. Again, it will turn blue to confirm selection. then click the Add button. Finally, add a video element. A quick note here about the order of elements in the list. When rendering a video, the last element in the list appears on top of the next item, and so on. As the video is the last item in the list, it will cover the image. We'll address this in more detail later. Now we can see that the scene has the three elements: a voice, an image, and a video. While certainly not everything, you can do a lot with just these three things. As before, the ID of each new element is just some random text. Let's edit those to something more readable. Recall to edit, click on Edit Templates JSON. We'll use a logical naming convention to make it easier to know which element goes with which scene. So, I recommend changing the scene ID to something obvious like scene_001. Change the voice ID to voice_001_internal. We are calling this voice internal because this template is going to use one of the internal voices included with your JSON to video credits. In later tutorials, we will make use of external voices from n8n Labs and will label those with a different ID to distinguish them. Similarly, match up the indices by changing the image ID. Since we are using the index 1 for the first scene, change the ID to image_001. With the same index in mind, change the video ID to video_001. Then save all changes by clicking the Update JSON button. Back in the JSON view, double-check that all of the changes were saved. For readability, the indices should all match. Now all we did was change some IDs. This template is still blank. We have to go back and add some actual content, so open the editor once again. First, edit the voice element to look like this. Make sure you get those commas in there correctly. For you lazy bees, I will put a link in the description to a cheat sheet. JSON to video includes complementary Microsoft Azure voices. You can also use n8n Labs voices, but it will cost you extra. We'll start with Azure voices to keep it simple. These are the words we want the voice to say. This is the name of the Azure voice we want to use. See the cheat sheet for the full list of voices. To make sure it doesn't get cut off, it is a good idea to delay the start of the voice just slightly. Next, edit the image element to look like this. Remember, link in the description if you're looking for a shortcut. This is the public URL of an image we want to use. For testing, we are using an image provided by JSON to video. We want to set the height of the image to match the height of the rendered video. Leave the width set to null to preserve the aspect ratio, preventing distortion. Set X and Y offsets to 0. Set position to center. That will center the image. This is a safe setting that works with the vast majority of images since they are usually centered on their subject. Setting zoom to 5 will slowly zoom into the image. This slight motion keeps the content more dynamic and interesting. Finally, edit the video element to look like this. This is the public URL of a video clip we want to use. For testing, we are using a clip provided by JSON to video. Similar to what we did with the image element, we want to set the height of the video clip to match the height of the rendered video with width set to null. As before, set the X and Y offsets to 0. Set position to center. That will center the video clip. This is a safe setting that works with the vast majority of video clips. Set duration to -2. This instructs JSON to video to cut the video element short when the voiceover is complete. Since we expect to have a voiceover, we don't want any sound of the video element to play over the voice. So set muted to true to suppress the sound from the video element. Save your edits by clicking on Update JSON. Now that we have some content, let's test our template. It is better to test early and often to make troubleshooting easier. To render a video from our template, click the Render Movie button at the bottom of the screen. Once the render is complete, an Open button will appear. Click on it to view the finished video in a new tab. It should look something like this.
This is a test.
Because our test video is so basic, it is only 1 or 2 seconds long. While testing does use up your free credits, it is worth it since the test videos use up only a few seconds at a time. You can do a lot of testing with your free 10 minutes. Once you are done with the test video, navigate back to the JSON to Video tab. Click the X at the bottom of the screen to close the render controls. Now, the template as it stands is pretty useless. Everything in there is hard-coded. If we want to change something, we have to go back and edit the template itself. This is where variables come in. Variables make it much easier to change stuff. To see what I mean, let's open the editor. Let's begin by looking at the voiceover. The text used to generate the voiceover is currently hard-coded. We are going to replace the hard-coded text with a placeholder. So, delete the text. Placeholders are represented by double curly brackets. First add 2 left curly brackets, then add 2 right curly brackets. Inside the brackets is the placeholder name. Let's give it something meaningful like voice_text_001, then click on the Update JSON button to save. We can confirm that the placeholder has been added into the template. However, there is one more step that we must do. We have to provide a variable that will give the placeholder an actual value. We do that here. Click on Variables to open the Template Variables editor. We need to add a variable here that matches the placeholder. To do that, click on Add a new variable. Give the variable the same name as we used for the placeholder. Let's give this variable an actual value that will replace the placeholder. We'll give it something slightly different from before. Maybe, this is yet another test. Once you have made the changes, close the editor. You will see that the variable count is now 1, confirming that you added a variable to the template. Let's add a variable for the image source. Select the image URL and delete it. Make sure to leave the quotes in place. Now let's add a placeholder, Remember, the placeholder name goes inside double curly brackets. Let's give the placeholder a descriptive name like image_URL_001. We'll do the same with the video element, giving the placeholder a name like video_URL_001. When finished, update the JSON. Since we added 2 new placeholders, we also need to add 2 matching variables. Using the same name, add the image variable. Same deal with the video variable, then close the editor. Now we have 3 variables, matching the number of placeholders. Let's give the new variables a value. We'll just give them the same test values we used before. Your daily reminder, cheat sheet link in the description. Close the editor window. Go to the JSON view and scroll down to the very bottom of the template. There you can see that the variables along with their values have been added. Let's test to make sure the template is still working properly with the variables in place. Click on the Render Movie button. Once the render has completed, open the video. It should look something like this.
This is yet another test.
Since we changed the voiceover, this video is slightly longer than the last test. Still, it is only 2 seconds of render time. Well worth it to confirm our work. Our template is almost complete, but we have to address one more issue. The template as it stands is too brittle. Every variable must have a value or you get an error. To see what I mean, navigate back to the JSON2 video tab and open the Template Variables editor. Erase the value of the voice text variable. So now there is nothing for the voiceover to say. Then close the editor and render the movie again. The render will fail with an error message. It is complaining that we have no text for the voice. Our template was expecting something for the voice to say and bombs when there isn't. The fix for this is to use conditionals. We can use one to say, if we have voice text, then make a voiceover. If we do not have voice text, then skip the voiceover. To see this in action, open the template editor. Scroll down to the voice element. Add a new line at the very beginning of the voice element. Type in the following, make sure to watch those commas, then update the JSON. By adding this to the beginning of the element is only rendered if the condition is true. If the variable voice_text_001 has some text, then the condition is true and the voiceover is rendered. If there is no text, the condition is false, and everything underneath it in the element is ignored and does not get rendered. Let's test this by trying to render the video again. Damn. That gives us a new error. It thinks there's no content for this movie. To see why, scroll down to the video element. The issue is this line. If you recall from earlier, a duration of -2 indicates that the video should run only as long as the scene. The length of the scene is determined by the voiceover. Since we now have no voiceover, the length of the scene is 0, thus the error. To fix this issue, Scroll down to the video element, then select the whole thing, including the comma, and copy it. Put your cursor at the very end of the video element and paste. That will paste a duplicate of the video element. Now, we will add some conditionals to control which of the duplicates gets rendered. For the first video element, add this conditional. The conditional says that if there is a URL for the video, and there is also text for the voiceover, then we render the video as normal. If both of those are true, then we want the duration of the video to be only as long as the voiceover and any sound from the video to be muted so it doesn't clash with the voice. For the second video element, we add the same conditional that looks like this. Then we make one change. We add an exclamation point in front of voice_text_001. That exclamation point is a shorthand for not. So the conditional now says that if there is a URL for the video and there is not text for the voiceover, then we render the video in a different way. What is different is that we change the duration from -2 to -1. That tells the system to render the full length of the video element. Since this video only renders that there is not a voiceover, we do want to keep the sound from the video, so just delete muted to enable the sound. Make sure to delete the comma as well, then update JSON. Let's see if the changes we made fixed the errors. Render the movie one more time. Yep, that fixed it. Let's see what the rendered video looks like now. Now, the resulting video is silent and 20 seconds long instead of 2. This is because the video URL we provided links to a 20-second video that has no sound of its own. Since there is no voiceover, the length of the rendered scene is determined by the length of the video element instead of the length of the voice element. Navigate back to the JSON to Video tab and close the render bar. We now have conditionals on the voice element and the video element. For completeness, we should add a conditional to the image element. So, pop up the editor and scroll down to the image element. At the very beginning of the image element, add the following condition. This simply says that if there is a URL for the image, then proceed to render the image. If not, then don't render the image. Make sure to update JSON when you finish the edits. All of our work so far was to add elements to a scene, and that makes sense. But you can also add elements that apply to the entire movie. One good example of that is captions. JSON's video includes Whisper AI captions for no additional cost. Whisper is a pretty good service from OpenAI, the ChatGPT folks, so we might as well take advantage of it. As usual, to add an element, click Add a New Element. Select Subtitles, then click the Add button. And just like that, we have subtitles added to the entire movie. The default captions are kind of boring, so let's pop open the template editor to spice things up a bit. If you scroll down, you can find where the new movie captions element was placed. Select the entire element and delete it. We are going to replace this with Alex Hormozi style captions. These are probably pretty cliche at this point, but can serve as a good starting point. I would suggest you just copy the settings from the cheat sheet, link in description. Here is the full text if you want to type it in yourself. Update JSON and render a test video when done.
This is a test with captions.
Now that our template is complete, just a few notes about using JSON to video. Click the back arrow in the upper left-hand corner to go to your dashboard. Then click on Render Logs. This will show you a list of all the videos you have rendered. Later, when we use n8n to automate the creation of videos, the rendered videos will show up here. I'm not sure how long the videos are stored here, so you should download them if you want to ensure you have a permanent copy. And one last housekeeping detail. If we provide just an image for the scene without a video or voiceover, the render will fail with an error. This is because images don't have a duration. If there is nothing else in the scene with a duration, it will fail with an error complaining that the movie can't be 0 duration. The solution to this is to render the scene only if it has something in it with a duration. That would be either a voiceover or a video. As before, we will use a conditional to handle this. If you recall, we placed the voice conditional at the very beginning of the element. Similarly, we'll place the conditional for the scene at the very beginning of the scene. Hop up the editor to take a look. At the very beginning of the scene, put in a conditional that renders the scene only if it has a voiceover or it has a video. Make sure to update JSON. Whew, That was the most involved part of this tutorial. That effort gave us a working JSON to video template. But the template by itself is not automated. We will need a different service for that part. For automation, we will be using n8n. There are a lot of reasons to choose that option. In short, it is relatively powerful, can be self-hosted, can be used for free, and handles AI stuff pretty well. To get started as fast as possible, I recommend using the cloud-hosted version of n8n, and that is what we will be using for this tutorial. To get started with that, go to n8n.io and click the Get Started button. n8n gives you a 14-day free trial, so you can complete everything in this tutorial for free. If you decide to continue using the cloud-hosted version after that, it will set you back roughly $24 US per month. Start your trial to continue with the remainder of this tutorial. Once you have signed up for n8n, it is time to roll up our sleeves and make the actual automation. To create it, click on the Create Workflow button. That will take you to the canvas. This is where you will assemble the various nodes that make up your workflow. Nodes are the building blocks of automation. Each node carries out a specific function, and we connect them together so those functions are carried out in order. To get things started, you need what is called a trigger node. So let's add one. To add a node to the canvas, click on the plus symbol in the upper right-hand corner. Since you don't have a trigger node yet, the drop-down will show the various types of triggers you can choose from. We will be using the ARM form submission node to start this automation. That will pop up the configuration panel for this node where we can adjust the parameters. But we'll come back to that later. For now, navigate back to the canvas. We can see the ARM form submission node has been added to the canvas, but it is not yet configured. So we get the little warning triangle, double-click on the node to pop up the configuration panel again. First, we should rename the node to something descriptive. To edit the name, click on the Edit icon. Maybe we call it DAS Video Maker. Let's give the form a descriptive title. I'm going to go with something totally original and call it DAS Video Maker. If you recall, our JSON2video template needs values for 3 variables. We are going to use this form to provide those values. So we will need 3 form elements total. For the first one, let's provide the voice text. To make the element, scroll down to Form Elements. To keep things consistent between n8n and JSON2video, let's use the same names. For the voice text, that would be voice_text_001. Back in n8n, use that same name for the field name for the first form element. Since the JSON2video variables are just text, set the element type to text. As an optional step, you can add a placeholder. This is just to help the person filling out the form know what kind of information should be in there. We did a lot of work to make sure the JSON2video template was flexible. We set it up so that none of the variables are required for it to work. So just leave this setting off. We still need to make form elements to collect values for the other 2 variables in the template. Remember these names. Let's tackle the image_URL variable first. To create a new field for that one, click the Add Form Element button. Give the new element a name to match the template. Image_URL_001. As before, set the element type to text. No need to worry about these parameters, so leave them as is. Finally, let's add an element for the video_URL template variable. Name it to match the template, and as usual, set the element type to text. To make testing easier, it is a good idea to test regularly along the way. Let's go back to the canvas for that. To start the test, click on the Test Workflow button. Since our trigger is a form submission, this will pop up a test form in a new window with the 3 elements we just added. Give our voiceover something different to say. Maybe, "This is test number 2. To simplify things, just leave the image URL blank. Then paste in the same video URL we have used for testing before. You can copy that from the JSON2video template. Then click on the Submit button. This should give you a confirmation message. Close this form pop-up window and navigate back to your n8n campus. Double-click the note to pop up the configuration panel. In the output panel, we can now see the values we just submitted with the form. This confirms that the form is working properly. Now that we have confirmed the test, let's head back to the canvas. We now have a trigger to start the workflow. Next, we need to add the actual thing that the workflow does. In this case, we wanted to send over the information we give it to JSON to video. So we need to add a new node that allows it to communicate with JSON to video. There is no custom node to do this. Instead, JSON to video offers an API. Fortunately, n8n is really good with APIs. Let's add a new node that will communicate with JSON to video. We talk to the JSON to video API using a regular World Wide Web request, also known as an HTTP request. n8n is set up perfectly for this and has a core node for it. Click Core. Then select HTTP request. So that we can understand what it does at a glance, rename this node to something more descriptive. If we go back to the canvas, we see the new node was added with the descriptive name, but it has a red triangle, meaning it still needs to be configured. Double-click on it to reopen the configuration panel. Set the communication method to post. The URL used to communicate with JSON to video is as follows. Pause here to type it in. You can also consult the cheat sheet if needed. Authentication makes use of a generic credential type. Under generic auth type, select header auth. Credentials are like passwords. They should be stored securely. Helpfully, n8n does this for you, so you should always create credentials in n8n. To do this, select Create New Credential. The name of the credential that JSON to video wants is x-kpi-key, all lowercase. And the value that JSON to video is expecting is the API key they gave you when you signed up. That is how JSON to video knows to use your account to render the video. Edit the name of this credential so it is easy to understand this one is for JSON to video. Name it something descriptive like JSON to video API key. Save the credential. A confirmation will be displayed in the lower right-hand corner. Once successfully saved, close the pop-up. Select Send Body. For a body content type, select JSON. Remember, the template we made is simply JSON text. Under Specify Body, select Using JSON. This makes a mini JSON editor available. Click in the lower right-hand corner of the mini editor to bring up a larger version. That looks something like this. We are now going to paste in some specific JSON text that will tell JSON to video which template we want to use. The JSON will look like this. Remember, link in the description to a cheat sheet if you need it. Once you paste it in, your view might revert back to the mini editor window. The variables might appear gray or red. This is because the variables have not been hooked to actual values yet. We'll address that in a minute. First, navigate back to JSON to video and pull up your list of movie templates. Then, copy the ID that appears below the name of the template. Then, go back to n8n and pull up the full-size JSON editor. Select the placeholder value for the template parameter. Then, paste in the ID you just copied. This is how JSON to video will know which template to use. Close the editor. Now, go back to your canvas and connect the two nodes together like so. Double-click to open the node. We don't have any values for the variables yet, so click the Execute Previous Nodes button. This will execute the trigger node, which is our input form. Put in the same text as before for the voiceover. This is test number 2. Paste the same video URL we have been using. Submit the form and you'll get a confirmation screen. Navigate back to n8n and you'll now see that the form correctly recorded the values. Note that the variables have turned green to indicate that they now have actual values. Pop open the full-size editor to see the full details. The result panel should now show what information is actually being stored in the variables. After confirming that the variables have actual values stored in them, close the editor. Now the moment of truth. Click the Test Step button to render this video. If everything works, you'll see a Success True item in the output panel. This means that JSON to video responded to your request, indicates that everything is good, and it is now working on your request. Note, this does not mean your render is complete, only that JSON to video is working on it. This n8n setup will not get any more updates on progress. Rather, that is something for future tutorials. To check progress, head back to JSON to video and open the render logs. This will show you the actual status of the render you just sent over via n8n. Once the status is marked as done, your video is ready. Click the play button to see it.
This is test number 2.
Notice that the test video indeed has the new voiceover that we gave it. Now that we have confirmed that the automation is working, save it. Then set it to active. Note this message, then click on Got It. Open the form trigger node. That message was talking about this. It was saying to use the production URL to run your active automation. So click on production URL. Copy the form URL and keep it somewhere. This is the URL you will use to make more videos with this automation. Let's do a quick test. When you paste that URL in the new tab, you get the familiar form we have seen before. Going forward, every time you submit this form, a new video will be rendered. Just a little recommendation. Clean up your canvas regularly by clicking the Tidy Up icon. That just tidies up your canvas and centers things. We just built a YouTube Shorts machine that creates boring 2-second videos that'll never go viral. A video with a single 2-second scene is never going to break the internet. Shorts are more typically around 60 seconds long with multiple scenes. The good news is that your viral at-scale system already has all the necessary ingredients to create these multi-scene masterpieces. We just need to level it up. So I'm going to walk you through adding a single scene. Master this process once, then rinse and repeat to create as many scenes as your content demands. Let's get into it. First, we need to add a scene to our JSON to video template. Pull up your movie templates and click on Edit Template Layout. Open the template editor. Starting at the opening curly bracket at the beginning of the scene, copy all of the text down to the closing curly bracket. Add a comma, then a carriage return to open a new line. Then put the cursor here at the start of the new line and paste the copied text. We have just pasted a duplicate of scene 1. To indicate that this is actually scene number 2, change all of the index numbers from 1 to 2. Do the same with the voiceover element. Same with the image. Same with the first video element. And finally, do the same with the second video element. Since the new scene has new placeholders, it requires that new variables also be added. Copy all 3 variables from the first scene. Add a comma like this and paste. Then, like we did above, update the indices of the new batch of variables from 1 to 2. Make sure to update JSON. Scroll to the bottom of the JSON view to confirm all those edits. You now have a fully functional template with 2 scenes. Back on the n8n canvas, open the configuration panel for the trigger node. Since we added a new scene, we need a way to provide values for the placeholders in that new scene. Scroll down and click the Add Form Element button. Name the new field the same as the new voice variable. Voice_text_002. The element type defaults to text, which is what we want. So we can leave everything else as is. Click the Add Form Element button. Then name the new field the same as the new image variable in the template. Image_URL_002. Click the Add Form Element button one last time. Then name the new field the same as the new video variable. Video_URL_002. Then go back to the canvas. Open the configuration panel for the API code. Copy up the full-size editor. As before, we need to add in the new variables. It is easiest to just copy the first set of variables. Type in a comma, then paste. And as before, change the index of the new variables from 1 to 2. Close the editor. Verify that the new variables were added, then head back to the canvas. Make sure to save your workflow. Now time to test. Open the API node configuration panel again. We need to provide some values for the test. To get these, click on Execute Previous Nodes. This should look familiar by now. Let's provide something for the voiceover to say in the first scene. Maybe something like, "This is scene number 1." Leave the image blank and use the usual test URL for the video. Now let's provide something for the voiceover to say in the second scene. Maybe something totally wild like, "This is scene number 2." Let's change it up for the second scene and use the usual test URL for the image while leaving the video blank. Submit these values so we can use them for the test. Once submitted, you can close the form. Back on the input panel, we can see that the values were indeed recorded. Okay, we've arrived at the moment of truth. Let's find out if these changes even work. Click Test Step. If all went correctly, we should get a success true message in the output cal. Remember, we have to go back to JSON video to see the results. Once there, click on Render Logs. When status show is done, click on the play button to see the video. If everything was set up correctly, it should look something like this.
This is scene number 1. This is scene number 2.
Really hope that worked for you. If so, you are now ready to start making short-form videos with the push of a button. Go back to the canvas and open the trigger node for a quick review. Remember, you should use the production URL to start the render process. Click it to see the URL. This is the URL you will use to make videos with this automation. Copy the URL and keep it somewhere handy. Beware, anyone with this URL can render a video on your account, so keep the URL secure. Paste that URL into a browser, and you will get the familiar form we have seen before. Now, every time you hit the Submit button, a new video will be rendered. Paste and submit as many times as you need. You don't need to wait for the previous videos to complete. Finally, a quick note regarding the image URL and video URL. These must be publicly available URLs. For your own media, that means you will need to make public links to your own files. Most online storage services like Google Drive, Dropbox, Amazon S3, and Cloudflare R2 offer this capability. A word of warning. Some of the file services charge for file operations that go above their free tier. For example, Amazon S3 gives you a free 100 gigabytes of data transfer per month, then starts charging for anything beyond that. Whatever option you choose, do your due diligence on pricing to make sure you are not caught by surprise.
All right, tutorial mode off. You just built your own content freedom machine. Now you can mix and match voiceovers, images, and videos with the press of a button. Is it perfect? Not even close. But this exact same automation completely changed my game, and now it's yours. With JSON 2 Video in your toolkit, you've got a foundation that can grow with whatever wild ideas you can cook up. Want text overlays, music, fancy transitions, green screen AI avatars? Just add a few tweaks and you're golden. And once you've got the n8n basics down, the world is basically your oyster. Toss in a few more nodes, and suddenly you're automating AI script writing, lip-syncing avatars, auto-publishing, pretty much anything in your content creation process. Your mission, should you choose to accept it: automate the boring, amplify the brilliant. So now that you're armed and dangerous with this automation setup, what's your next move? Drop a comment and show us what kind of killer content you're planning to unleash.